Hello, how's it going?
How's your day been so far?
Do you want? Yeah, good stuff. I've not actually played the game yet today, so my day is probably going to get a whole lot worse. But
I was just gonna say, so helicopters,
yeah,
big subject.
I like helis.
You know what? I do too. But before I share my reasons that I like helicopters, what do you like about helicopters, and what do you feel that they bring to the game in their own way?
Is this going to be a video?
Probably.
I like EC. Obviously, in ground RB, they're pretty bad at the moment.
Yeah, you could say that.
Although actually, I've been flying the Animu chopper recently. Gaishin, they actually gave it to me for free.
本当ですか?
I was just like, can I have? I just went to them. I was like, hey, can I have it for 7 days on a test drive? And they just gave it to me permanently. So I hope that was intentional. But
They were like, 返して Oni-chan.
yes, it's nice that. But no, actually, I've played it in ground RB, and it's not as long as you stay low, it's good. You always have that one AH-1Z who just takes off, climbs to altitude, and then just gets yeeted by a SAM within like 30 seconds. But if you stay low, you're actually not that bad.
That's
Obviously, it depends on map.
Yeah, that's good to know. And map design really seems to come in.
If you're on like Maginot, it's flat basically, so they can see you wherever you are.
Yeah.
But if it's Vietnam, you can hide behind like big rocks and stuff, which is quite useful. Just pop up, fire a missile.
Yeah, when it comes to cast, I'm a huge fan of Vietnam. I think it's a great combined arms map.
Yeah, I like the more hilly maps because obviously in higher tier, SPA everywhere with radar. If there's hills, you can hide from the radar, you can hide from the SPAA. It's a lot better. If it's open and flat, then you kind of... If you spawn at a high altitude like an aircraft, and it's flat and open, and they have radar, they have missiles, you're probably not going to survive.
Yep. And, you kind of get screwed over by map design with just about everything in the game. There's certain maps that just don't work out well for you, so that's probably an issue that's going to stick with War Thunder for a while. But when it comes to the reason that helicopters are actually fun, one of those reasons is that you can take advantage of map design. If you have terrain that you can work around, it feels so cool to fly low in a helicopter, even more fun than an aircraft, because you have to kind of babysit it.
Well, with an aircraft, you can't really take advantage of hills and stuff because you got to obviously keep flying above the stall speed. You can't just sort of hide in one specific place. You have to keep moving. So I think with aircraft, you need to be a lot more on your feet thinking in terms of hiding, in terms of thinking, oh, where's the next hill I'm going to dodge behind? With helis, you can find a good hill and just say, yeah, I'm just going to hover here. I think that's quite nice. But it depends on the map, as you say.
So, does it feel pretty awesome to watch the battle from your third-person view and then pop around a corner, pop a tank, and then duck back into cover?
Yeah, it's good. Obviously, you need to be very careful because depending on where you are, at least now when you're fairly close to the ground, there's radar interference from SPAs. So it's kind of difficult for them to get an exact lock on your location. But you still need to be very quick. Because at least with the SAMs, as you know, they're very fast. So the second they see you, if you haven't noticed that, you're gonna die. At least most helis now have like a radar lock warning, so you know when they're seeing you, and then you can just sort of run away. But no, I don't play RB much. I don't play ground actually much with helis. Just when I found the situation is not as bad as many people say. But mostly I play C actually. EC's fun.
So, yeah, you mentioned that you enjoy enduring confrontation more in the helicopters, and that's a game mode that's been in the works for a while. They've really made a lot of very meaningful changes to it. I remember when it first came out, the meta was to carry maximum load of rockets, of which the AH-1G was king, and
just
climb to high altitude where nobody could engage
yeah.
you and just kill bases.
Yeah. I didn't like that the bases were destroyable. That was kind of stupid, in my opinion.
Yeah, I really feel like the indestructible takeoff zones and the respawning destructible bases was a good call for Heli EC, and honestly, I don't see why they don't implement that in Air EC.
Yeah, I think with the non-destructible zones, that at least when they were destructible, you could sort of knock down the enemy bases until there's one or two left, and then you could just spawn camp them. Now people have no excuse. Like, I see when I'm flying helis in EC now, I kill someone near the spawn, and they just keep spawning in the exact same place 5 times in a row, and I just kill them every time. And like, at least now the bases aren't destroyable. There's no excuse to do that. Just go somewhere else. I think that's a positive. You can at least in some way run away from an enemy that's attacking you if you get killed.
Yeah.
Just don't be dumb.
That makes sense. And when it comes to helicopters, one of the things that I've noticed, number one, the most fun thing for me is just hugging the terrain and flying the helicopter. It's really fun. And
it's nice. Yeah.
You can do things like side skirting, where you see a target and you're still about 2 clicks out, so you can just immediately start banking and circling around to where you're behind them and stalking people from low altitude. Really just fun to fly.
Especially on a lot of the non-desert maps, helis, at least at low altitude, are incredibly difficult to spot. So in Heli EC, if you stay low on, for example, Vietnam, it's highly likely if you stay low and close to the terrain, you're not going to get spotted. So you can easily flank, kill people. That's what I've been doing with the Japanese heli. It's got 8 ATGMs. They're very easy to control once you get good with them. You just sneak around, kill some people. It's pretty good fun.
Yeah, that, I think, honestly, the stealth, the tactical positioning, those are some things that you can really engage in as a player. And there's something that has less of an impact when it comes to an up tier, which battle rating compression is worse in helicopters than in anything else, especially in EC where everything can face everything. But after that, which is pretty well balanced and engaging, and the mechanics of the game mode really support that, let's talk about weaponry. And and what's your favorite weapon to use? What are the upsides and downsides of the different types of weapons?
Well, for one thing, air-to-air guided missiles, I've not played them much. The only heli I've flown so far with AAMs was the Gazelle with the Mistrals. They were pretty good. At least in EC, which is an arcade mode, you could not dodge. Unless you had some kind of IR countermeasures, you were screwed. So AH-1Gs, Mi-4s, they were free real estate, basically. So the AAMs are good. I do think, considering how in EC it is literally any heli can face any heli, I think some form of IR countermeasures should be implemented for every heli.
I agree.
Purely because the ones that don't have them, it's an arcade mode. The missiles are maneuverable as hell. You're not going to dodge them. You're just going to get hit and you're dead. That's that. And the ranging means that there's no way you can just shoot the other heli down. They can fire at you from 2-3 kilometers away. So I think that's kind of dumb, especially helis like the AH-1Z with the AIM-9Ls, is it? They're quite good. So,
they're quite good.
I think at least in heli EC, countermeasures should be added. For example, with the Japanese heli, you have no flares, no IR countermeasures, and I did look it up, and even the heli in real life with the anime paint scheme, it had an IR countermeasure system fitted to the exhaust.
Ooh, I'd love to see that.
And the one in game doesn't. So it's just the thing that goes around the exhaust and cools it. So it's just like, why is it not in game? Like, I don't know, because the Russian Hind has flares, it has an IR countermeasure system. Just give all of them a basic form of IR. Maybe it's not 100% effective, but at least it gives them more chance to survive.
I completely agree. And when it comes to the IR countermeasure system, this is clearly something that could use some tweaking as well. I've played a lot with the AH-1Z over the past few days. Well, as much as I play War Thunder these days, being busy as I am. But I've noticed that the passive IR countermeasure systems available on some helicopters, they're supposed to make it more difficult to get a lock, and indeed they do. But
it's not impossible, though,
They also, sometimes they just completely kill the tracking of the missile, and I don't know. It seems like some of those IR countermeasure systems are...
It's based very much on the positioning of the exhaust. So, like, for example, on the Mi-24D, you've got the countermeasure on sort of the spine of the helicopter. The exhausts are either side nearer the front. So, you know, you can fire an AAM from in front, that'll lock just fine. But if you try and go from behind or above from behind or below from behind, you're not really going to get a lock. So, I think on the where's the countermeasure on the AH-1Z?
I don't even know if it has one, honestly. I haven't noticed.
Doesn't it? I'll just quickly check in the tech tree to see if it does, because I know that the F does. I believe it's got one. Let me check this. I have my F fully spaded, so I'm just gonna. Yeah, so the F has it just above the engine. So from directly behind, obviously the exhaust is more visible, so that will lock from behind. But like in front or from the side, it probably won't.
I see it. I see it on the model.
No, the Z just has flares.
I see it on the model, but I don't think it's actually credited with it in the game. If you look at the model, there is a little pylon for the countermeasure system. But again, Gaijin's just like...
Yeah, maybe that's sort of a
no
countermeasures
for you. I think that is how they do it. I think they've specifically...
Yeah. It's got flares.
I think they've specifically set up certain helicopters to be more effective against AAMs, others to be more effective against ground targets, and the AH-1Z with its powerful missiles and its top-of-the-line tank-killing power, and also with Hellfires, you can kill everything that exists with them.
Yeah, I think it's like, you've got flares, but once you're out of them, you're dead in the water. I think at least for the time being, that's good. With the Gazelle, though, that's got 4 AAMs, and it can't carry anything else with the full AAM loadout. You have no countermeasures. You don't have flares. You don't have just a general countermeasure system. So I think maybe some helis with countermeasures, they just remove them if they have missiles. Actually, I'll check just to check for Russian bias. I'll quickly take a look at the Mi-35. Yeah, this has both. This has 3 different types of IR countermeasure, and it has AAMs. Russian bias is not real, comrade.
Well, there is one balancing factor that we haven't really talked about yet, and that is agility and mobility. Do you...
Ooh, yes.
I know that you love the agility of the Gazelle.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's quick. It's nice.
Tell me what you've noticed in EC battles. How do you use your agility to your advantage? And how do you feel about helicopters that, say, could have a stronger loadout, but less agility?
Going on to the Gazelle initially, when I flew... I currently don't have it. I got it on test drive when the tree was released. Although I am grinding it back, because I do like it. But what I noticed was if you're in sort of a fight with any helicopter that just has guns, no ATGMs, no missiles, you can just run away from them. I believe it's currently the fastest heli in the game. You can just, like, for example, Mi-35s, Mi-24, sorry, really annoying heli, because in most other helis, like another really sort of maneuverable heli, the Bo 105, that one, you have ATGMs. At the time I played it a lot, you didn't have guns. And it was maneuverable, but it couldn't run away from anything. So you would run out of any ammunition, try and escape behind, and they would just catch you and just kill you with one shot. So I think maneuverability is good for, like, I think you need to be sort of more maneuverable and faster than an enemy to successfully escape sort of a close fight. At least if you're both similarly skilled. If the other person has no idea what they're doing, you can probably get out of there, but at least you can outmaneuver them and run, but if they're faster than you, yeah, it depends.
I'm glad you brought that up in that way, because one of the things that I've noticed with just the way that I play the Viper is, even though I don't have any of the engine power upgrades, is that it's a very nimble aircraft, especially with a light load, and it's also very fast, so you can fly low, stay stealthy, pick out a target, launch your missile, and then when you get out there, even if there's other enemies within 3 or 4 kilometers, they can never catch you. So you sort of determine when you're going to engage. And I mean, if you're patient enough, then you can just pick on people who don't stand a chance. You won't make the biggest difference in a match.
Oh yeah, no, I'm always going for MI4s, those sort of things, yeah.
Yeah, when it comes to immersion into a game and just feeling like an apex predator, those nimble helicopters with good AAMs can be really rewarding to play. And at the same time, they're not going to just dominate a match because you have to get really stuck in the helicopter EC mode if you're going to win points and take down ground targets, which is how you win matches.
That's the thing I kind of like about it. In normal matches that only last for 10, 20 minutes, you really need to either go all out on the enemy to kill them all, or play the objective so you win the game. With Heli EC, the matches last up to 2 hours. You have time just to chill out, go do some ground target killing, go kill some enemy helis. That's one of the real positives about Heli EC. It's a far more laid-back game mode. It's not really a mode where you have to rush, you need to get stuff done. You can spend time just chilling out, destroying some light targets. That's one good thing about Heli EC, in my opinion. It's a lot more kickback.
Yeah. Hey, I'm looking at the Mi-35, and it almost looks like it has a radar system as well. Wouldn't that be interesting?
I believe it does, yeah. I'll just quickly check. Does it have a radar system? I think it does. Oh, the little bit under the nose.
Yeah.
The little ball thing. Yeah. Kind of looks like a radar. I'll see if it's in the... Maybe do any helis have radar yet?
Not that I've noticed, but I've only played a few of them.
Not. I don't think... Maybe they just haven't implemented it. Maybe they will implement it. We'll see. Should we talk about future possible additions for helis as well, actually? Because there's a lot of things I would really like to see. Not just individual helis, but also full trees.
You know, that sounds like a really interesting video to watch on your channel. I'm really looking forward to it because I know you'll do an amazing job and have all kinds of pictures in there. So I wouldn't want to spoil that for people, but everybody who's watching right now, look forward to Bacon Gaming's upcoming future helicopters video. He has some great speculation videos because there's pictures and references included. He talks about how they might work in the game, and a lot of those things could actually
I'm locked in now. I have to do this.
Right. You're in it now. But what else have we covered? We're talking about the state of helicopters in the game right now, and
well, we spoke a bit about weapons, and we only really spoke about AAMs. But I think another thing to mention is ATGMs.
Yes, do tell. Because
they're much more widely used, aren't they? For one, actually, after it was released in 1.87, the French heli tree? I believe it was 8.7. But once it was released, I played the IAR quite a lot, the Romanian Alouette 3. And actually, I really didn't... The ATGMs are first gen, first off, so they have a very short range. And that means you have to get very close to the enemy. Such a range where stuff like AH-1Zs, they can pick you out of the sky rather easily. And I actually found it surprisingly effective. Though, of course, using tactics of staying low, being sneaky, generally, these as you put it, sort of apex predators in their AH-1Zs, all this stuff, I think some people get a false feeling of superiority and a false confidence. So they're flying along and thinking, yeah, nothing's going to happen to me. And then out of nowhere comes this little, probably one of the worst helis in the game, just out of nowhere and just ATGMs them. I think that's actually a thing I notice a lot. You see these guys and they're not looking out. They're just focusing on one thing. I don't know if that's just the individual players, but I notice it a lot with top helis. Sometimes you can come directly towards them and they just will not notice you at all. So I find ATGMs are very useful.
Another thing is, once you get into a combat situation where you haven't just taken someone down with an AAM, but you're actually having to focus and fly defensively and try and get your guns on target, decide if you're going to use a missile, then are you going to guide it in through your gunner view? All those things start really taking all of your attention. If you engage someone who's already engaged with an ally, you have a massive, massive advantage. And yet, if you go into gunner view, your helicopter starts to rise because that's what they do when you're in gunner view, making you a huge target. So the tactics of Heli EC when it comes to player versus player really open up the field for helicopters that would otherwise be outmatched, and that's very encouraging. I got... what were you saying?
No, I would say apart from air-to-air missiles, I would say if you remove the AAMs in Heli EC, I would actually think it would be almost fully balanced. If it's just ATGMs, even though you have obviously like 10.0 BR helis, you got some 8.0 helis, I would say it wouldn't be too unbalanced actually. That's the only weapon I would say where you can just yeet it off and you're basically guaranteed to kill. If you don't have them, I would say despite the big difference in technology, it's actually quite a balanced game mode, depending very much on not only the skill, but also the patience of the player.
Yeah, I completely agree. I would love to see all of the helicopters with AAMs be in their own league when it comes to EC, and to have a mode where there's everything that doesn't have AAMs in their own playground. And at the same time, I understand that it's not a massive game mode. I honestly encourage people to try out Heli EC and get into a helicopter. They're available for free now. The American helicopters are fantastic, starting with the AH-1G, and it doesn't have guided missiles of any kind, but the rockets are incredible. The armament is incredible.
If you play it sneaky, and you take one of the, for example, the gun, say you take the 20mm revolver can. If you play it sneaky and you get close to someone and you can hit them, even if you hit them once or twice, they're dead. They're not surviving that. So with the AH-1G, it's not so much technological firepower like ATGMs or missiles. It's more just blunt firepower. You just have big guns, lots of them, and if you can play, it's quite a small heli, and it's sort of brown. It's quite dark colored. So if you play it sneaky, you will do quite well against basically anyone.
Yeah, it really is a fantastic helicopter, and it's the one that I used to grind out the entire American helicopter tree, so I've got lots of experience in it.
Did you have a talisman on that, or did you grind out?
I talismaned it, and I used boosters, but I did it when the RP was over 300,000 for each one of the helicopters. So
yeah, that's what put me off grinding. What I did for a while was I only really had the premiums and the early heli, so I played them a lot in. Well, actually, initially when they released helis, it was obviously RB and AB. I really enjoyed that because the games were really short. And did you play RB Domination at any point? Because you made about 50k Silver Lions from just landing and capping a base. It was stupid. But then they added DC, and I was a bit iffy on that initially.
Yeah, it's certainly been through a lot of changes, and I honestly think that for the most part, they've been for the better. And many of those changes were very necessary in terms of just making helicopter gameplay feel like you're actually flying a helicopter and not just playing some weird meta of climbing to space and becoming a bomber. but I really feel like Heli EC is in a pretty good place right now. There are some balancing issues, but it's something that you're able to deal with if your tactics are good and you take advantage of opportunities. Don't jump into a fight you can't win. And that's sort of my summary. There's so much to learn about helicopters, and that's one of the things that makes them fun, and there's really nothing like them. So I recommend you give them a try. Bacon, what's your summary of the state of helicopters right now to wrap things up?
I would say really the only thing I would do, like obviously in Ground RB, they have their problems currently, so they need to... I would say, guys, you need to work on that. Maybe just... I think the issue, the way they've, at least in Ground RB, the way they've implemented the SAMs, where it's user-guided with mouse and keyboard, or mostly just mouse, it kind of means that there's not really any countermeasures. It's done from eyeball. You can't exactly just say, oh, I have a countermeasure for the human eyeball. You can't really do that. So I think Heli's being murdered instantly in Ground RB is going to be an issue for quite a while. May never get fixed. Although going on to EC as a whole, I would say don't play Helis in RB because you'll hate it. Don't play it in Ground RB, you will not enjoy it. Play it in Heli EC. It's a fun kickback game mode. If you just want to chill out, if you're getting annoyed from the grind, just chill out, play some Helis. It's good fun. You don't need to worry about dying because you have basically unlimited respawn. bunch of bases. Are you getting spawn camped? Not an issue. Just go to another one of the many bases and shouldn't be an issue there. So I would say give helis a go. It's good fun. If you want to get a premium, do that. I would advise the Japanese heli. There wasn't a tech tree to grind with it, but it is the best of the premiums by far. Or just go with one of the early ones. But it's good fun. I would try it.
Well, there you have it. There's no reason to not give it a try. EC is the place to learn, and I'd love to see more people engaging there. And one last thing that I'll mention before I wrap this up is that I've met a lot of really cool people in Heli EC who have joined up with the Discord and engaged, and some of my favorite people in War Thunder I found in Heli EC matches. It's a great place to connect with a sort of a smaller community, almost like the Sim aircraft community, and people just feel more willing to talk there. So make some friends as you Shrek each other and destroy ground targets together.
Oh yeah. I think the reasoning for that though is because since it's quite more of a kickback game mode. It's not people looking to argue, looking to fight, looking for all this stuff. It's just people looking to kick back and have some fun. So that it's sort of a much nicer sort of in-game community, I would say, just because they're more chilled out.
You know, I really agree. And Bacon, thanks for showing up today to talk with helicopters with me. Look forward to doing more things with you. I really love your channel, and well, you know that well, do you know that you've been an inspiration to me, bud? You really have.
Well, thanks very much for that.
All right, and with that, I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.